So my name is Anya. My pronouns are she, her, hers. I'm an English teacher preparation major with a minor in journalism, and I'm here because I am an ACH fellow.
Nice. It's nice to meet you, Anya. I'm Elizabeth Newman. I am currently the Vice Provost for Curriculum and Undergraduate Education, but in my faculty life, I'm an Associate Professor of History, but my research and work area is in historical archaeology and anthropology in Mexico.
Oh, that's so cool. I love history. Great. So I first wanted to ask, can you tell us a bit about your academic background and your journey so far at Stony Brook?
Sure. So my academic background, I guess going way back when, I'm a first-gen college student, put myself through a large public institution, not unlike Stony Brook, working 3 jobs at a time to get my bachelor's degree, and fell into archaeology kind of by accident. And then I went and did a PhD at Yale. And I came to Stony Brook working, sorry, the dog's barking in the background. And so's yours now. I did I came to Stony Brook in January of 2008 to work at the campus that they had just opened in Southampton. And I thought I had lost my mind because I'd been living in Mexico and working at a university there. And it was January on Long Island and it was snowy and miserable. But I haven't looked back. I love being at Stony Brook. So I was in the program in sustainability studies at Southampton, and then I came to the history department here, and now I'm working in administration.
That's really cool. I think that's a really cool career path, especially being a first-gen student. That's amazing. I feel like that's so inspirational for students at Stony Brook because so many of us are first-gen students.
Well, and it's why I want to be here. You know, it's why I'm really committed to this institution because it's, you know, I get the challenges people are facing because I face them.
Yeah, that's amazing. So what did your college experience teach you about your career path, and what did it kind of teach you about your future? How did it shape you as a student and now in your career?
So I think one thing is that though there were challenges being a first-gen college student and working, I actually have no regrets about that because it meant that I got a lot of hands-on real-world experience, and that has never, ever, ever been to my detriment. It has only been to my advantage. And I was really lucky to find mentors in college early on who sort of got that and encouraged me in that, but also helped me see the possibility of, you know, like I was working 3 jobs, but I was working jobs that had a relationship to my career field. And so I got some really great experience early on and got to do some really fun stuff as well. So I think that my college path was about learning that all the things I needed to learn weren't just inside the 4 walls of a classroom. Mm-hmm. And I think that's been really, really beneficial to me. So
that's really good. That's really nice. So what inspired you to go down this career path?
So to be perfectly, well, so I grew up always wanting to be a teacher. And something which it sounds like you can relate to given your major of choice. And so I always wanted to be a teacher, but secretly deep down inside, I wanted to study history. But I just, you know, no one in my family was an academic. It never occurred to me that I could get a PhD and study history. That just that wasn't a thing people did, you know? Mm-hmm. So actually, I went to college when I was 18 to become a preschool teacher, and I dropped out after a year. I was miserable. And I worked for a while as a secretary, and then I went back to school, and I was like, well, I'll major in history, but that's just so I can get my teacher certification, and that's the path I'm going to take. So I majored in history, and I was taking a gen ed requirement, like an SBC. Mm-hmm. We didn't call it that, obviously, but basically the same idea. And I was in this weird position where, because I was working, I could only be on campus 2 days a week. I couldn't come to campus 3 days a week. And I had to take a science SB, gen ed requirement. And I couldn't take any of the normal sciences because they required you be on campus 3 days a week because of the schedule for labs and things. So I was basically locked out of any sciences, but they had classified archaeology as a science for a gen ed. Okay. So I took the archaeology class because it was offered on Tuesdays and Thursdays, so I could still go do my job. And I went into that class, and the first day, the professor came in and he said, the first words out of his mouth when he walked into the room, I'll never forget them. He said, "Archaeology is childhood for life. You spend your summers playing in the dirt." And I was like, I'm sold, because like my favorite thing as a child was mud pies, right? Like, wait, there's a career where mud pies are a thing. So I took I took that class and I loved it. And I really loved the way it let you study history in ways you don't usually get to study history, with the stuff from history, you know, like you dig into the ground and history is there. And that was really magical for me. And it was also magical for me as a teacher, because to take the history out of the ground and give it to somebody makes a connection that you don't make necessarily with a book, right? So I just fell in love with it, and I went down that path. And I kept thinking that at some point I would just end up going and getting a teacher certification. It never occurred to me that I could go on and do the whole PhD academic thing, but I just never stopped doing it. So here I am.
That's totally understandable. And I really like that your path wasn't exactly what you thought it would be, because
never.
Yeah, one of the biggest things that we learn at Stony Brook is it's okay to change your mind. It's okay to not know what your future is going to be. It's okay for it not to be solidified. So actually, yeah.
So I was just going to say, you know, like I have students come to me and they're like, you know, I don't know what I want to be when I grow up. And I'm like, I don't know what I want to be when I grow up. Because if you know what you want to be when you grow up, you shut yourself off to all the possibilities, right? So yeah, I'm all about not really committing to something that defined and just letting things happen.
Yeah, that actually led into my next question. What advice would you give to a student who also is unsure about their future?
To explore as many options, to embrace being unsure. I always talk about, you know, I have students who come to me and say, I have to get my degree so that I can start my life. And it's like, no, your life has already started. Like, this is part of your life. And the advice I always give is that, you know, life is like a hike, and you want to keep walking up the mountain and get to the top of the mountain. But if you're so worried and so focused on just taking the shortest, straightest path up to the top of the mountain, you might miss that side path that looks kind of interesting, that leads you by like this amazing waterfall you never thought you'd see, right? And it's okay to take those side paths as long as you're still moving forward. It's when you start moving backward you need to worry. And I think my advice is like, go ahead and take those chances to explore, but take them in ways that make sense, right? So if you're unsure but you think you might like history, try to find some sort of experience that lets you do that outside of the classroom. If it's, you know, volunteering at a museum. I had to work, so I went to a museum and I got an internship that didn't pay very much, but then I did another job that paid a bit more. And then that museum internship turned into a job, and I got to go to work 3 days a week and teach kids science at the Museum of Science in Boston while I was putting myself through school and building that sort of portfolio of life outside of the classroom, and really getting to try things and find out some of them I loved and some of them I hated and didn't want to do. So just experiment.
That's really great. I really like that. Thank you. That helps me out too.
Good.
Yeah.
Cool.
Also, finally, what are you most excited about as you begin your new position at Stony Brook as the Vice Provost?
I think, you know, it's interesting because the thing that's been really hard for me is stepping out of the classroom, because I did always want to be a teacher and I love teaching. But I'm really excited about the fact that I get to empower people to think about how they are impacting a whole bunch of our students. And I feel like it sort of puts me in a position to support and back up all the people who are doing such wonderful work. That's a form of teaching too, I think. So I'm excited about learning how to teach a different set of people different things in different ways.
That's amazing. Thank you so much.
No problem.
Yeah.
Thank you for giving me the opportunity to talk about it.
Of course. Right. I really appreciate everything, and I wish you the best of luck. I think it's going to be amazing. And thank you for sitting down with me as well.
No problem. And, I'm always happy to do so. So feel free to reach out.